So I was up all night thinking, and then I'm trying to stop myself from thinking, like, what to do next, what should I talk about, and then I realized, hey, this is supposed to just be something where I share what I'm thinking, um, and it shouldn't be a thing. Um, Otherwise, I know me, my personality, I'll go too crazy, and I'll be checking for this and that and trying to make it better, and which is cool for a certain time and that, but for this, it's supposed to be low stakes for myself because I've tried other things, but I just get too tired and then I can't do them. So at the same time, I'm kind of like just stop. That's probably most of my journey at the moment as well, is just learning how to stop. Um, we're so caught and like taught to just perform. Everything must be better, even the ideal vision you have for your life, and trying to get there. And especially when you're younger, you have this thing, and then you realize, oh, I'm in my 30s and like I'm nowhere near there. But you're always striving to be something or get somewhere, and it's like at some point you just got to stop and take stock and realize, hey, like actually where I am is enough, and who I am is enough. And yeah, things could be better, but I think that there's this place of just stopping and being grateful where you're at and who you are, sorry. Um, yeah, that's just a thing. Living in the present. And again, I'll probably get into this stuff as we go because that's pretty much my life at the moment, learning how to be present. Everything pulls you away from the present. The present's actually the only thing you have. You don't have the future, you don't have the past, but you have right here, right now. And a lot of stuff we taught, and that is to pull us away from there. Not like intentionally, it's just your thoughts are always about somewhere else. So you could be with someone and you're not even present. And I found that even in specifically to me with Christianity, like sometimes being with people because either iron sharpens iron. So sitting with a friend is you're supposed to get something out of it together, or you're trying to win someone over, or you need to find a way to slip in the gospel. And so actually every person becomes like a project, and it's like you're never present because you're always thinking, you're listening, but you're thinking, oh, when can I slip this in, or I should say this, and I'm like trying to let go of all of that stuff and just be present. And I think even with this right now, it's like last night my mind's going wild, and I'm a big dreamer. Like I think a lot about a lot of stuff. And it was actually funny earlier. I was just having the same conversation, but in my head to myself, and I realized, wow, I do talk to myself so much. I don't know if that's normal or not, but like I do it. Um, yeah, but it's weirdly I don't really speak that much. I do when I'm safe and in right environments, but like I'm more one to rather listen and like than just voice all my opinions. I normally hold what I think and feel very close, and if I really trust someone or like it's a safe environment, I'll share it. But I don't just throw it out there. So even doing something like this is so weird because like, but again, it's low stakes. Hopefully. Anyway, what I was thinking about, actually speaking about for myself as well, is because I found on this journey that I'm on. So the journey started, I think it was 2024. That year I spent away in a different city, and that's where it started. But like from there to now, yeah, it's like night and day. It's like I'm such a different person, and like my beliefs have really changed. There's so much that has happened that I forget even like the beginning stages of why or how I even got to where I am. And I thought probably to start this off before I start just rambling on other thoughts is to actually take stock for myself of like what led me to where I am in the stages as best as I can. And I know I could polish this and write down topics and go for it, but like again, at the moment that's not what this is. It's just for me to talk again to myself. um, but I think that's what I want to do for the beginning, even for myself. So if I do look back, like, and I've had it, like someone asked me, like, oh, you've changed, your journey's changed. Like, where did it start? And I'm like, oh, wait, I actually don't know, because like, what was so important to me then and critical, right now is not, because I've come so far from there. Um, I can't describe, and maybe you got guys have experienced it as well, but like the growth period has just been so quick, and I've come so far. It's almost like it is that thing of like when the light starts coming on, you can't unsee it. It's like you just the light switches on and I can't look back. And I think so much has been exposed and shown, and so I've come very far, I would say, quite quickly. And I'm not saying I'm a better person or more this or that at all. It's just internally, like in myself, I've come so far. And so I can't even remember some of the things that led me here. And so I thought, let me just start by trying to address some of those things over the next while. So I know as well I have a clear direction of like where I came from. And I think in the previous intro I was just saying like God's love being unconditional was a huge leader, I think. And I think that underpins this whole thing. Like for me, it obviously goes off in a lot of different tangents, but like that's the root of it for me. And I think because, and I'm trying to think like how I got there, and because it's something we always say, right? We all know God's love is unconditional. We say that. We know the scriptures. We preach it to one another. You know, there's songs about it. Yet, I don't know if we believe it. And again, this is what I was saying. Like, there's so much that happens, especially in my church culture, and also just to maybe say like this isn't against anyone or anything or any movement, because what I've learned, like in the beginning, maybe I was a bit hurt and I was projecting a lot, but what I've learned over this time is that it's actually mostly just a journey about me. You know, it's about me figuring out and learning, and it's like, yeah, in the beginning you project on others, and yeah, there are some things that could change and stuff, but like to point at others and say it's their fault, it's not really like, I was doing that, and I found actually this is just me growing and changing and learning. And so I just wanted to say that, because I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone or anything. I'm really just sharing my thoughts, but and things I experienced in those spaces. But now I've gone on such a tangent, I forgot where I was. But in those environments, I think we say a lot of this stuff, and because it's like, maybe let me say my environment's also more like the charismatic, you know, freedom, you know, healing, signs, wonders, that sort of background. Although I've been in other churches, I was a youth pastor in a Methodist church as well. I was also part of another church movement before that, so I've kind of been around. But that's my most recent one, and I found like in that space, because we say this stuff a lot and harp it, and like you're just so used to saying it that if I think sometimes you don't really think about everything and what that actually means. And when you stop, like when I stopped and wasn't a part of those environments anymore, I really just said, why do we actually do this? Or like, what am I actually saying? Because if we do say God's love is unconditional, what does that mean? Like, does that apply to only Christians? Does it apply to everyone? And if it does only apply to Christians, then it is conditional, because then the condition is that you become a Christian. And or if it's based on this, then and it was a genuine question. It wasn't like I'm trying to throw it in someone's face and say, it's try to catch someone out. You know, I was really asking like, is there a condition to God's love? Because if there is, let me do it. I want to, so I can experience it. Or is it unconditional? And that led me to some places. And I think the next question that I really started asking myself was like, that sort of led me to ask like, who told you that? Like, who wrote that on your heart was the more specific, deeper one, if I can say. And that got me asking, who told me that? Like, I'm doing this stuff X, Y, and Z, but why? Again, you know, all pointing back to why do we do these things? And I suppose it's hard to understand, like, if you're not in that culture, but like, so much happens and like so much is celebrated, and you really get given, or you form a picture of what a good Christian looks like, or what a good life looks like. And again, the thing is, I wanted to be sold out. I wanted to be, you know, I've been in ministry. I wanted to be like the guys we would read or listen to. I wanted to be that, you know. I thought I was that. I was leading worship. We had crazy times, like, you know, and I'm trying to be this thing. And in my head, I can see a picture of what it is. And a lot of it is shaped by my culture, the environment I'm around, what's celebrated and what's not. And these things, again, we don't always see them from the inside, but when you're out, you can see them. And like, there's definitely a pattern in some of these of what's celebrated and what's not. And like I've experimented a bit with it afterwards. Like I can say certain things that just get people hot, you know, or I can paint anything in a picture that's going to sound good to someone, especially spiritually. Like if I just say the right words, people don't even need to know my lifestyle or anything. They'll just be like, "Wow, that guy's following the Lord. That guy loves the Lord." And I find if I'm being just plain and honest and not saying those things, it's kind of like, oh, okay, he's just average, you know. And no one wants to be an average Christian because we need to be desperate and hungry and sold out and on fire and all these things. And I wanted that until I stepped out of it. And this has been a pursuit of mine for years and years and years, and had amazing highs, but also like just never fully been able to be that. Like I just couldn't ever. And then when you're not that, you kind of think something's wrong with you, or you missed the mark, or like you just got fear of man.